Pour yourself a cold one.
Let's strike 'em, huh?
And listen to Ross Tucker break down the top college prospects on another tasty edition of The College Draft.
Yeah, it is Daddy Soda time here on the College Draft Podcast presented by DraftKings. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman, 5 teams, 7 years. Now I do college games for CBS Sports Network. That Army-Wake Forest game was bananas. I do NFL games for Westwood One. Got a bunch of podcasts, including the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, which is every day. Even Money, if you like betting, Even Money is where we make the picks in the NFL against the spread. Of course, the Fantasy Feast Podcast for you fantasy folks out there. And how about my guy, Emory Hunt, here on the College Draft Podcast? 5-0 last week with his bets. 5-0. I don't understand why everybody in the galaxy doesn't listen to this podcast or watch it at youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. Emory is a hidden gem, or maybe just this show is a hidden gem. At F-Ball Game Plan on Twitter, Football Game Plan on YouTube, footballgameplan.com/2022 draft guide. Emory, take a bow, my friend. That was impressive.
You know what, man? It's sometimes just put in a good day's work. And we've been putting in good days of work every week on this podcast. I don't know what the tally is, but I know we're for sure over 60-something% on these picks. So, we just like giving people money, man. Christmas started early for everyone.
You know what? We need to get somebody to grade this show like we grade the Even Money podcast to see where you are at, because you've had a couple weeks where you got them all right. And the other weeks, I think you're probably still above 500. So it's been really, really impressive. Speaking of that, I don't know if you got a chance to catch any of it, Emory. You might have been doing a game. How about my Wake Forest Army game? 70-56.
Yeah,
70-56.
It's funny because I didn't expect that many points to be scored in that game. I thought maybe a 30, 20 game like that. But goodness, and I was checking the updates because I was doing the game that had the Morgan State North Carolina Central game, but we had the ticker going on. I'm just like, man, first of all, I was like, man, this game's still going. And second of all, like, how many points they gonna score? I was just hoping Wake Forest covers, but man, is this game gonna stop, scoring? Like, it was just impressive to see.
A lot of people that saw it thought it was a basketball score. They thought college basketball season, Wake Forest basketball started early.
Right.
It's kind of funny. I'll say this. Both those receivers for Wake Forest, Jaquari Roberson and A.T. Perry, are legit. And their quarterback, Sam Hartman, he might be the best Sam H in North Carolina, Emory. He has been very efficient this year for all the hype around Sam Howell. Now, I think Hartman has a better team. Wake Forest has done such a good job of redshirting almost everybody. They're all 22, 23, 24. They just develop better than other people. They develop, they got old, and they're staying old.
And that's the key, man. I feel like people underestimate the value of redshirting and having guys that have experience, and that requires continuity with the coaching staff, which they've had, continuity within the scheme, which they've had on both sides of the ball, and you're allowing guys to slowly grow within the program. And this is, to me, what college football should look like: a team that's veteran laden, having success, and making plays when they need to. And Hartman has been in and out of the lineup, when they had the previous quarterback there.
Jamie Newman,
Yeah, Newman. And so now he's, again, stayed his course. He didn't transfer. He stayed at Wake Forest, developed, and now has become a legitimate prospect in terms of what he can possibly be at the next level. But this team, to me, I feel like people need to understand the value of redshirting and developing of a program, and they're doing a great job down there in Winston-Salem.
Let's get to some of these games this week, Emory. We'll start with Michigan at Michigan State. The Wolverines are favored by 4.5. For Michigan, let's talk about their D-end, Aiden Hutchinson, and their running back, Hassan Haskins. I'm going to give you a lot of credit, Emory. You said over the summer here on the College Draft Podcast that Aiden Hutchinson was a better player than Kwity Paye, who went in the first round last year to the Colts. And you were exactly right. He's a stud.
He is, man. And you talk about someone that's checking, we love to say check boxes, and he's checking all these boxes, height, weight, speed, check. But you also look at how he plays versus the run. He sets a physical edge. He is able to read and diagnose quickly. So he's getting downhill. He doesn't like stay locked on, or does the quarterback have the football or does he not? Once he realizes that ball is going, he's already tracking down the ball carrier, which is 9 times 10 going away from him. When it's time to rush the passer, he can rush the passer with his hand on the ground or hand off the ground. So he does a lot of things really well. I think he's one of these, plug and play type pass rushers or defensive ends as a rookie that should hit the ground running at the next level next year. He's just been really good, man. It was, for me in the summer, it was easy to see him just pop off film and say, okay, this guy is, he's not busy for the sake of being busy. He's productively busy, and he's making plays on both ends of defense.
What about their running back, Hassan Haskins, Emory?
He has some good springs about his game. Like, he has good bursts, good lateral quickness. You rarely see him take a loss. He's always going forward. And I think he surprises defenders with how quick he is. His first step quickness, his lateral quickness. You could see him, being someone that's a good complementary back at the next level, running sidecar to someone that's your featured starter. Or if you put him in a backfield that has a tandem, which he's in right now, he can be very productive. I think he is one that has gotten better every year. And he kind of forced Charbonnet to be out there. And Charbonnet was a highly touted recruit who's now at UCLA right now. But I think Haskins is a really good prospect for a team that's looking for a second back. You could, let's say last night you saw New Orleans, someone like Haskins would be a good fit, running, co-pilot with someone like Alvin Kamara and what he does in the backfield. I just really like his game.
What about Michigan State? They've got a guard you like in Kevin Jarvis.
Good going downhill, as you would expect your right guard to be, right? Someone that makes contact, he's able to drive block really well. You're not going to walk him back in pass pro. And so he's good in that regard. Lateral quickness is a little bit up and down. He has to be a little bit more consistent with second reaction moves. I think he gets a little bit too heavy footed, maybe a little bit grabby. But that's an area where he's going to have to become a little bit more consistent. But in a run game, that's where you like where he brings what he brings to the table in terms of being able to lock on and just drive guys out the way and open things up for Kenneth Walker, who's a really good back, another pro prospect that we're going to talk about, in other shows, because Michigan State is going to be good for a while.
Yeah, but I got to know what you thought of him so far. I got to know about, because this guy was a Wake Forest transfer. I mean, how do you come out of nowhere to be a Heisman candidate? What have you seen from Walker so far?
Balance, vision, break tackle ability, which ties directly to your balance, a knack for the big play. So let's say they need a big play, whether it's a short conversion or they just need a chunk play because they hadn't made one all game. Walker is making that, and you start to see the confidence build within this game. Like, oh, I know I can make this play, so put the ball in my hand. So he's been good, man. I know people are talking about him as the top back in his class. I probably wouldn't go that far, but definitely someone that you wouldn't mind dotting the I behind a fullback or being your featured guy in the run game. I'm surprised. I was shocked that he left Wake Forest because he was really good there. But he wanted a better opportunity, got one in Michigan State, and is making the most of it. Good all-around game, Kenneth Walker.
Who do you think is the best back out there?
It's a toss-up right now, Ross. I mean, you look at Isaiah Spiller from Texas A&M, who I say reminds me a lot of Jeremy Hill when he was coming out of LSU and played with the Bengals. You have Breece Hall, who I'm still a big fan of. I don't know why many are down on Breece Hall, because he just got good vision, good natural feel for the run game. You like how he's playing. You could throw Walker in the mix as well, but I just feel like Spiller and Hall are still up there. And if CJ Verdell can just ever stay healthy, he's up there for me also with how well he's able to play the position also.
So You mentioned visibility, really, you mentioned vision as it relates to Kenneth Walker. Let's talk about visibility a little bit. I'm talking about visibility behind the wheel, not for a running back like Kenneth Walker. November 1st and November 7th next week, there's exclusive deals during AutoZone Visibility Week. So you can get 2 Rain-X Quantum Wiper Blades, $10 bonus reward. You got to make sure, by the way, that you are a bonus reward member. They'll give you another $5 just for becoming an AutoZone Rewards program member. If your headlights are looking a little dim, you get $25 bonus reward when you buy a Sylvania LED Fog Twin Pack. Ready to see more and drive safer? Visit your nearest AutoZone or head to AutoZone.com to start your job today. Get in the zone, AutoZone. All right, Michigan's laying 4.5. What do you got, Emory?
I like Michigan here. I feel like they have the better quarterback, and McNamara can be a little bit more dynamic than what you're seeing from Michigan State. I just feel like right now is Michigan State's opportunity to make a big splash. They'll keep it competitive, but Michigan's moment is this year. They play really well on both sides of the ball. They have the best pass rusher. They have an offense that can hit you with 2 running backs. Corum is good. Haskins is good. McNamara is efficient in the passing game. They have some big playmakers that can go deep down the field as a complement to the run game. So I just think Michigan is a better team overall. So I'm laying those points with the Wolverines.
Love it. What about Penn State at Ohio State? Ohio State's favored by 18.5. And interestingly, I'm surprised you want to talk about Penn State running back John Lovett.
Yeah, because I'm talking about him in terms of how he was as a prospect at Baylor. He's not particularly getting a lot of run right now with Penn State, but when you go back and watch him at Baylor, he was with the other guy that's still down there at Baylor right now, Ebner, who's a terrific kickoff returner, and he had Ebner basically maintaining that kickoff return spot while Lovett was getting most of the carries. Lovett has good burst, good explosiveness, could be a good kickoff returner at the pro level, has the ability to run inside, get outside. And so for me, it makes you wonder what went into the decision to transfer from Baylor to Penn State. So don't look at his statistics at Penn State. You have to look at the prospect. He's a good athlete, very good speed, good burst. Like I said, special teams is going to be his ticket, and then he's going to work himself into the lineup as a complimentary back at the next level.
Interesting. All right. What about the tight end for Ohio State, Jeremy Ruckert? Feels like he's been there a while.
Right. And he feels like he's always, like when you look at him, you look at Luke Farrell and what they had, and you're like, man, is that the same guy? Or, is this the Ohio State tight end uniform? Just make everyone looks like Nick Van Etten. They all look the same. All have the same body type. They have a type at Ohio State at the tight end position. But Ruckert is someone that has really good hands, man, and quick hands too. So he's gonna snatch the ball out the air. He's not gonna be one of these guys who's gonna wait for it to come into his body. So I like that about his game. He's excellent inside the red zone. I knows how to find dead spots in the zone, and for whatever reason, teams tend to leave him running wide open. So he's going to find ways to get the football, but I like his activity in the red zone as a receiver. Knows how to quickly get those hands up and pluck the ball out of the air. So there's no doubting whether or not he catches the football. There's no contested catches because he gets the ball out of the air pretty quickly. So very good hands. Could be tight end 1 in this draft class as I'm still breaking down the tight end position, but I like what I'm seeing.
Ohio State's favored by 18.5. Penn State coming off that disastrous loss to Illinois. They even had their quarterback, Sean Clifford, was back, but he clearly wasn't 100%, did not play well. No PJ Mustipher, who's Penn State's most important defensive player. He's done for the year. Illinois ran all over them. Are you laying 18.5 against Penn State, Emory?
I am, because this is about, this is when we talk about on the schedule when you play teams, right? So if this was maybe week 2, this would have been a tighter game. But because Penn State is going like this and Ohio State is going like this, they're catching them at the right time. Ohio State looks like a completely different team, offensively speaking, than what we saw 4 weeks ago. let alone just last week. So I do trust the fact that they can get this game covered. They can win by 3 touchdowns. Penn State played essentially 2 games last week. So look for Ohio State to win this one pretty big.
Interesting. Okay, what about SMU at Houston? Huge game for those two teams. SMU's favored by 1, and they've got a couple name skill guys. Reggie
Yeah.
Robertson, Grant Calcaterra.
Remember, Calcaterra came back. He retired. He was a terrific tight end prospect. Retired. He was at Oklahoma, I believe. Then came back to SMU and has picked up right where he left off. So he's still getting acclimated back to playing ball again. Had those nasty concussions, so the medicals are going to be big for him. But as a talent, he's right up there with Rucker, because before the concussions forced him to retire, he was making plays consistently at the position. It was a real true threat at tight end. So you're happy to see him back out there. You're happy to see him healthy. He's someone that's going to be a sleeper in terms of a prospect that is not getting a lot of notoriety because people just aren't talking about him. Some people probably even know he came back. Roberson, we know, came back because of the injury, and he's a big playmaker, just finds the end zone in every game. And I think as he gets, get that speed back from the ACL injury, next year he's going to be even better, like we saw in 2019 or early parts of 2020. This is someone that is a guy that can put the ball in the paint, can help you out in a multitude of ways, and it's going to be a tremendous prospect to study as the season goes on.
How about Houston D tackle Logan Hall?
I think he could play across the board. He's 6'6", about 267, 270 maybe, so he could probably either gain weight and be an interior pressure player. You could keep him at weight and have him as a 5 technique. So I think the versatility alone leads you to want him on your team. He's starting to come on, toward the last 3 games, starting to find the backfield, find plays in the backfield, in terms of stopping a run, getting to the quarterback. Pad level is a little bit high, which is a little bit understandable for someone that's 6'6", but if he can get that pad level to be a consistent level, at a consistent level, I guarantee you're going to see those TFL numbers and sack numbers go up, because he does have length, he does have good ball get off, but when he pops up and plays high, it makes him easier to block. So I like his versatility, and I do like his upside.
SMU's laying 1 point. Huge battle in the state of Texas. The 2 city schools. What do you got?
This game reminds me a lot of the game we talked about last week with Kansas State and Texas Tech, who also had, I believe, a 1-point spread. I don't think people are giving SMU's defense enough credit here. I know their offense can score. Mordecai is doing a great job throwing the football. We talked about the receiving options that he has. They have great depth in the backfield, but I feel like this SMU defense will be able to get after Clayton Tune and force some turnovers, and giving the ball back to SMU's offense, to me, is easy money. So laying the points with SMU, I trust their defense more so than I trust Houston's defense in this matchup.
Got it. All right. Speaking of laying points, PicksWise is the #1 free app for football picks, odds, and analysis. Find expert picks for every game all season long, loaded with best bets, props, and parlays. You can find in-depth game predictions giving you the who, how, and why behind every prediction, all for free. Found your pick? Search our latest DraftKings promotions to sign up for an account and place your bet. Download the free PicksWise app now to make your next bet better. PicksWise backs responsible gambling. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Emory, let's talk Ole Miss at Auburn. Auburn laying 2.5. I'm surprised by that.
I really am. I mean, did they not watch the LSU game last weekend, or Ole Miss all season long? What gives you the confidence that Auburn is the favorite here, unless you expect Lane Kiffin to take the USC job again or the LSU job this week? Like why is Auburn a favorite here? I don't understand. I think Ole Miss is playing some really good football, as evident by last week and how they played all season long. And they have the more consistent quarterback in Matt Corral over Bo Nix, who can be a little bit up and down, but you love the scrappiness of Bo Nix. Bo Nix to me plays a lot like Taylor Heineke, someone that, he's a good streaky QB2, someone that can come in and play well for you at times, but during the course of a game, you'll see those seeds of inconsistency that can end up costing you a game. Now, Nix would have dove over that goal line against Green Bay. He wouldn't have been afraid to curl up with it and fall short, which was a dumb call, by the way. And Nix wouldn't have fumbled the football on the second time on the goal line, going over the end line as well, too. So I do like Bo Nix. I said this before. I tweeted this out. I like Bo Nix as a football player. He's your ideal QB2 at the next level. But Corral is someone that gives you some upside. We saw him tote the rock 2 weeks ago, 36 carries, like he's Herschel Walker or somebody. But you like how I said this before, he's like a Drew Lock. He's a little bit streaky, but you love the ability to play. And where he differs from Drew Lock is the ability to run the football. I think he needs to add some weight. He's a very thin guy, but I just think Ole Miss has the better quarterback here. So I don't understand why they're underdogs coming to this ball game.
Yeah, I am very surprised by that. In terms of prospects in this one, how about Ole Miss DN Tariq Tisdale?
Yeah, I don't understand why he's not playing. It hasn't come out if it's an injury or something, but he's someone that has the athleticism that checks those boxes: height, weight, speed, ball get off, good length, good athleticism. He played really well against Louisville, but hasn't really played much since. So I don't know if there's something injury wise to why he's not playing a lot. He's been getting in games, but hasn't been garnering a lot of snaps. So interesting situation to watch. But you like the talent that he has when he has been out there. So I'll be more interested. This is a scout's question and quandary to find out, what's going on with Tisdale, because Tisdale can play and someone that's going to get drafted.
What's going on with Roger McCreary, the Auburn corner?
Give me corners that find the football 10 times out of 10, because I posted a couple of videos on my Twitter account on yesterday or Sunday based off what I saw in a game I was broadcasting, North Carolina Central Morgan State game. This sophomore cornerback, Jawan Hudson, made plays in the alley, flying up and run support. He's like 5'10", 180, plays in the alley and run support, and then turning and finding the football. Then on Friday night, there was the high school game I did, Halifax and Susquehanna. It was a Susquehanna cornerback who was a freshman, shorter corner, had to go up against a 6'4" basketball player for Halifax in the end zone, picked them off, found the football, couldn't get above the rim on him. On a late breaking out route, he turned his head, found the football, and was able to pick it off. So he had 2 picks and should have had a third. So those type of players like McQuarrie that can find the football, I want you on my football team because you can help turn the ball over. You're not surprised when the ball is in the air. And not only can he turn the ball over, he knows what to do with it. He's going to bring it back for a touchdown. So he has the athleticism, the explosiveness, and the ball skills that you want. He's someone I could see could play the nickel role at the pro level, or you can trust him on the field side because he's someone that can run with anybody.
So, assuming you're taking Ole Miss in the points?
Absolutely.
Okay. What about Samford at VMI? VMI is laying 6.5. Man, VMI is playing well. They still have the same quarterback from North Penn, Reese, whatever his name is.
Udinski. No, he transferred to Western Kentucky. Or he transferred to Western. No, one of those schools, Marshall, I believe. He transferred up.
Interesting. I'll figure it out. Is he playing?
No, he's not playing because that's the thing. He put his name in the transfer portal last year. Then the spring, he was like, I'll just play the spring season at VMI. Played really well. Then ended up leaving. Harris transferred, put his name in the transfer portal. It was radio silence. Decided to come back in the spring and in the fall, and he's balling out too. So, Udinski probably should have stayed at VMI and continue to play because he was a big fish in the small pond, but he transferred up. I don't know if he went to Western Kentucky because Bailey Zapp went there from Houston Baptist, but I forgot where he transferred to.
He's at Maryland.
He's at Maryland. He's not playing. You're not playing over Tagovailoa. So I don't know why, unless he plans to take advantage of a free.
I didn't realize Udinski tore his ACL in late March too. That's a bad time to transfer.
Exactly. And so when you think about, and the guy that replaced him when he tore his ACL was a freshman and played really well. They needed him in that game in the spring against Wofford, and he came through and won the game for him because he was going to Jacob Harris, the wide receiver.
Wow.
Yeah,
very interesting. Do you think Harris can put weight on and be a tight end?
That's where I was going. You read my mind, because when you watch him play, you like, okay, he may not have the NFL wide receiver speed, but he can get open. He's athletic. He's not afraid of contact over the middle of the field, and he's already like 225, 230. I was with you when with that same sentiment. Like, man, you think someone like Dan Arnold, and you look at someone like Harris, and you see a pathway for him.
Love it. What about Montrell Washington for Samford?
You want the ball in his hands, man. He is explosive at all, as all outdoors. You want him in the slot. You want him as a punt returner, as a kickoff returner. He has good springs, good ability, but he also has a knack for scoring the ball. He is someone that will find the end zone and has found the end zone in a multitude of ways. You want to hand it to him. You want him to return kicks or punts. You want to throw him the football. Samford, he's their number one wide receiver. They've had guys like this before. Kelvin McKnight was one previously who ended up being in training camp with the Denver Broncos. He's now, I believe, in Canada playing in the CFL. He played in the XFL for a little bit when it was around. So they love to feature these shorter wide receivers that can win at the line of scrimmage, win after the catch, and also help you out in special teams. So he is someone that's definitely on the NFL radar. I'd be interested to see what he runs. I think he's probably going to be more quicker than fast, but if he can crack that the high 4.4, someone's going to spend a draft pick on him.
VMI's laying 6.5. What are you doing, Emory?
Love VMI this year. They beat the brakes off Mercer. They'll cover this spread. These FCS picks have been hidden money. So if you can, that's why I want to throw one in the show. I've been on a tear, 21-5 this season, picking FCS games.
Wow, that is awesome. You're overcoming the odds. You're rewriting the playbook, Emory. You're delivering under pressure. The MVPs of small business lead their teams to victory all year long. Visa is proud to provide playmakers everywhere with more tools to help grow their business and help them achieve even greater success. Because the more people we can empower, the more we all win. Visa, a network working for everyone. Outstanding stuff, Emory. Let's keep it rolling this week. I cannot wait. The keg is kicked. We're all tapped out.
Thanks for listening to the College Draft Podcast. Make sure to also subscribe to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, Fantasy Feast, Even Money, and The Business of Sports. All available at Apple Podcasts, rosstucker.com, or wherever podcasts can be found.
A lot of times on the show, I mentioned DraftKings. Here's what you need to know. You got to be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. By the way, if what I was talking about included a deposit bonus, doesn't always, sometimes it does. Deposit bonus requires 25 times playthrough, and deposit bonuses are paid out in site credit.